If you may, for those of you who understand what I'm talking about there. If you're too rich, then you can't understand what I mean, a dawo muzigo. So this chopper could be a dawo muzigo with a curtain split. For those of you like I who began that way, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who began life in the Muyengas and the Kololos, you will not resonate. But Jacob Oulanyah himself, he began that humble, and he's now been placed in a cousin. I've also seen one of the officers here who has been part of his personal detail. He has been with him for a very long time, this gentleman. I've seen him go through a lot himself after his principal fell and succumbed to what we all now know. I also do see that the fire department of the Uganda Police Force is on hand with a fire engine, should that be required. There's nothing here being taken for granted. And some of the children are taking the family is concerned. And students of Chambogo University have gathered here from the race ground here. They can see what is going on here. That is indicative of the type of nobility, the type of, if you may, it's called royalty or royal class that Jacob Oulanyah managed to achieve in just 57 years. Some people take an entire time. I know men in some villages in this country who are in their 70s, but nobody even knows that they exist. They use their 24 hours times of the week and times the days of the month and 74 years, and we don't even know about them. The question I continue to ask you when these things happen is to what extent are you going to be known? What do you do with 24 hours? Because Jacob had 24 hours. You also have 24 hours. You see, you go very far when you multiply talent with time. We all have time, we all have talent. But that multiplication is where many of us get wrong. And the Jacob Oulanyahs get right, the Professor Yusuf Lules get right, the Professor Tebide got right. I could mention the following, or should I say he had built a following of billions of people now. So time and how you use it to a large extent really matters. The question I ask myself as I look at the students here of Chambogo University, is there anyone, myself, as I said earlier, last time I was stepping on this field was in 1991, 31 years ago, as a goalkeeper here. At the moment, he's picked up his handkerchief, cleaning his head. He's a man of about 6'3", a very tall man, Lieutenant Peju, the commandant of the flight, and he's saluting those on the ground. And any minute from now, I guess after he gets the clearance from wherever he gets the clearance, I want to imagine, I don't know aviation too much, but I imagine there is a semblance of a control place that he will be communicating to. He's asked us to leave the place where we will not be safe to the place where we can be safe, because any minute from now, I think the doors will be closing, and after those doors close, we in Kampala will say, fare thee well, Jacob L'Okori Oulanyah. At some point, if you hear my voice breaking, you will forgive, because this man was quite close. The engine has rolled, and any time from now, the routers will get started, And once those routers get started, we'll be talking of the closing of the doors. And once the doors close, then we'll be talking airlifting. I see a bird here also getting excited for a reason I don't really know. I don't know why birds get excited when they see these
right there, disembarking or leaving the barrier, I mean the ground, and that the engine is on for the helicopter. Before we know it, we will be saying bye-bye off the face of Kampala, of a place where he lived and worked and served his nation. He will be saying bye-bye to us entirely, likely less than about 9 months from the time that he was elected the Speaker of the 11th Parliament. And out of the various sittings in that house, he had only chaired less than 7 sittings out of the over 70 sittings that were had existed or that had been. Honorable Anita Among, different deputy speaker, that is the former government chief whip, and that is because the law necessitated that as such, that there needed to be a speaker for him to even be accorded a special sitting. You can clearly see the stairway at the helicopter taking off, the door is closed, and in just a few minutes that will be setting off to Omoro. It will take quite some few minutes for this chopper entirely to be arriving at Omoro ground where it is going to land, and thereafter it will take the hearse will be, which already arrived by the way, the hearse that will be moving the body of the late L'Okori Oulanyah has already arrived. That is the black hearse, the brick hearse that picks the body from Entebbe International Airport and delivered him home to his home in Yenga, a home that he left pretty earlier on Tuesday as he was headed for the special parliament sitting, which started at 10 a.m. and it quite stretched for a very long time because over 400 members of parliament, 500 members of parliament actually, all had to make sure that they eulogize him and say something that they do remember about the man who served them as their leader. But also that body, that casket spent the night at parliament and left today in the morning at about 9 a.m. and headed for Kololo Independence Grounds where a state funeral was held for him, and only over above 1,500 dignitaries were accepted and allowed at the Independence Grounds to be able to have him and then brought to here Chambogo, where right now it is evident that he is being airlifted and will be taking it on tomorrow, where he is going to be received. A very, very sad moment for a man who died at quite a young age. The president was particularly clear on that, where he was saying he had not yet even hit the average life expectancy of Uganda, which has now moved on to about 56, 53 thereabout, and he was called by God, like many chose to say, many religious leaders, but the president disputed this and said, why does it always have to be God calling only Africans? Because he cited an example of Japan, where the life expectancy is actually much more than that. There it is, that is the chopper that is carrying the body, that is carrying the casket of the late L'Okori Oulanyah, and it's now headed north.